burned next door to Russia in Ukraine, just over 600 miles from where we're standing to be exact. Tonight, a large portion of the main square in Kiev remains in flames amid a rising death toll. Our chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel, has made his way there tonight and joins us by satellite. And, Richard, is there any indication there of this possible talk of a truce that we heard about late today?
Good evening, Brian. I'm in the square right now. The fires are still burning. Both sides are still squared off. We don't see any signs of a ceasefire. Protesters say their revolution is gaining momentum and passion. We watched this woman confront hundreds of riot police alone, holding her ground even while pelted with stones. The police rattled their shields for more. The Ukrainian capital has front lines drawn in black helmets. On one side, forces loyal to the pro-Moscow president, Viktor Yanukovych. Only yards away is another world, a fortified protest camp of ski masks, improvised armor, and filling stations for Molotov cocktails. The demonstrators were preparing for battle, smashing up pavement to make pieces ready to throw, and lighting bonfires, seen from above by a drone today. The protesters here put themselves in the center of a ring of fire and say they will hold this square, even if it costs them their lives. But why?
To make a statement that I'm a free man and I want to fight for that.
Dimitro, a 33-year-old engineer, helps bring in supplies, like more tires to burn and scrap to reinforce the camp's perimeter. The protesters want strong barricades after what happened last night when police tried to storm in and the square went up in flames. Dimitro expects it will happen again.
It'll be a hard night, that's all I can tell.
The uncertainty and fear have left the heart of this grand city empty and shuttered. At a Catholic church just off the square, they prayed and set up a field hospital where they expect many injured. American doctor Ilana Supran just moved to Ukraine and is now volunteering.
I want to believe that it'll end positively. I want to believe that the people of Ukraine will get what they're hoping for.
And the protests are spreading beyond Kiev to other cities. Government offices ransacked, a regional politician roughed up, and a confrontation outside a security office that left a protester dead. And no one seems to know where it will end. A truce would be significant, but this crisis, Brian, has been going on for about 3 months. There have been truces in the past, and they haven't held.
Richard Engel on the fighting in that otherwise beautiful city of Kiev. Richard, thanks. The U.S. has a big interest in how this all turns out for Ukraine. This violence has prompted a warning from President Obama and U.S. sanctions on Ukrainian officials. NBC's Andrea Mitchell has learned some late information. She, too, is in our D.C. newsroom tonight. Andrea, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. Tonight, the U.S. slapped the first sanctions on 20 Ukraine officials, banning them from coming to the U.S. And just now, the White House warned Ukraine's president to pull back his riot police and begin meaningful talks with the opposition. The violence triggered frantic diplomacy in the U.S. and Europe and warnings from President Obama at a summit in Mexico.
There will be consequences if people step over the line. And that includes making sure that the Ukrainian military does not step in to what should be a set of issues that can be resolved by civilians.
This is no simple revolution. Ukraine is divided, one foot in Europe, the other led by the government aligned with its former parent, Russia. Vladimir Putin has warned the U.S. to stop meddling in what he considers his backyard.
The theme that keeps Putin up at night is the idea that somehow street revolution that you've seen in Kiev, you've seen in Georgia, you saw in Tahrir Square, that this would somehow come to haunt him in Moscow. And he will do absolutely everything he can to avoid it, and he also thinks the West encourages it.
Putin was furious when America's top diplomat for Europe, Victoria Nuland, showed solidarity with the protesters in December, bringing them bread.
We're here from America. Would you like some bread?
The U.S. believes Russia struck back by bugging Nuland's phone and posting it on YouTube.
So, I don't think cleats should go into the government. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's a good idea.
And this week, Russian TV interrupted Olympics coverage to air a propaganda film linking America to the Nazis, all approved by Putin.
He is bound and determined not to let Ukraine begin to work with the European Union or begin to work more closely with the United States. He thinks because he has a Soviet mentality, because he was formed as a professional during the Cold War.
Indeed, this crisis in Ukraine has turned into a battle of wills between the U.S. and Putin, feeling very much like the Cold War. Brian?
Andrea Mitchell in Washington tonight. Andrea, thanks. And back here in Russia, something else that's personal for Vladimir Putin, these Olympic Games. And aside from pulling it off and proving to the world that these games could be successful and safe, another thing that was really important to Putin and Russia was winning the gold medal in men's hockey. But we learned earlier today that will not happen. Russia is out. And that heads up the news out of here today. Ann Thompson is with us tonight from the mountain venue high above us here in Sochi. Ann, good evening.